Hi, everyone. Today is Thursday, May 14th, and welcome to this very special live interview on X. It's also simulcast on Reddit for viewers there and with a rebroadcast on YouTube as well. Let me introduce myself. I'm Laptop Travel, a 45-year veteran in the market with trading who's spent decades navigating every kind of market you can imagine. And these days, I run a newsletter, conduct deep dive research. I work within the story trading Discord community as an analyst, and where we focus on the real stories that actually move stocks, not just the noise. So please follow me on X for great stock picks and investing ideas. A quick disclaimer before we dive in: nothing said here today by me or our guests should be taken as investment advice or recommendation to buy or sell any securities. This is for information and entertainment purposes only. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a qualified financial advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. Markets can be volatile and you could lose money. With that out of the way, welcome to today's live investor session. We're joined by the CEO Oren Elkayam of Mobilicom, and that's ticker symbol MOB on the NASDAQ. He happens to be today at the Loitering Munitions USA Conference, which is a premier two-day defense event held in Arlington, Virginia, on the 13th and 14th of this month, this week, Wednesday and Thursday. And it is the primary U.S. forum for the Department of Defense officials and industry leaders and international allies to discuss the development, deployment, and acquisition of loitering munition systems. Now, Mobilicom provides critical hardware, software, and cybersecurity solutions that serve as the heart and soul of modern drones and robotic platforms. With expanding global demand driven by rising defense spending and next-generation battlefield technology. That's forefront today in the news with all the geopolitical issues that we are seeing. So whether you're a current shareholder or an investor seeking exposure to the next generation defense technologies, secure communications, and cyber security solutions, today's interview will dive into Mobilicom's strategic vision, the key operational milestones ahead, and how the company is positioned to capitalize on the growing demand for resilient drone and AI-enabled defense and critical infrastructure protection systems. So, Oren, for investors who may be new to Mobilicom, who didn't catch our previous interview, shame on them, or just catching up since that last discussion, can you provide the viewers and listeners for a high-level introduction to the company today? And please tell us about your participation also at this special Loitering Munitions Conference.
So thank you for having me. Again, I would like to present Mobilicom shortly and advise that Mobilicom is the provider of a critical IP-based hardware, software, and cybersecurity solution for drones for robotics. Those are the elements that allow them to operate, allow them to communicate, allow them to safeguard themselves against different threats. We can say in general that Mobilicom is actually in the convergence of three major market trends: drones, cybersecurity, and robotics autonomy, and which position the company very well going forward with the big market investment in those fields across the governments in United States, Europe, and elsewhere. What we are doing, actually, we have two, let's say, divisions. One is selling hardware or hardened hardware. Those are solutions which are secured data link communication or ground control stations, which are essential parts of the drones and robotics deployment. The hardware are having all the US certification that we have worked aggressively to achieve over the last year. We have the Blue OS Select, the Trusted Cyber, NDAA validation, different electromagnetic allocation, and so forth, which puts Mobilicom in a very short list of companies that are approved and recommended by the Department of War to be used in the United States and therefore also in NATO countries. We have recently, based on our solution, our customers won program of record with the government of the United States that promised a continuous production and procurement for 5 to 10 years of our solutions. In addition to that, we have software solutions and cyber solutions, which their aim is to protect the drone activity. One is the ICE, which is protecting the communication against jamming, interception, and so forth. And the other one is the OS3, the Operation Security, Safety, and Standard Compliance, which is, I think, the leading solution in the market for cybersecurity of autonomous platforms, which is embedded within the NVIDIA or Qualcomm AI machines in the drones or robots. We are the leader in that market. The business model of the company is clear. We are selling the hardware and penetrating with the hardware to the drone and robotics manufacturers, and then are able to cross-sell the cyber and software. The hardware are in the 50 to 60% gross margin, very steep, but the software and cyber is in the 90% gross margin area, which makes the company unique position to scale dramatically with the market.
Wow, that's great. And you've hit the three key buzzwords that we hear every day today, drones, cybersecurity, and AI. That you've got the perfect trifecta there. Can you walk through now how Mobilicom Skyhopper and this ICE suite that you mentioned are currently integrated into major loitering munition platforms, and what specific performance advantages do those deliver, let's say, in real world contested environments, maybe even in battlefield conditions?
So Mobilicom Skyhopper family that you mentioned, which is portfolio of data links that are integrated as a hardware within loitering munitions and drones, are the communication device that enable the operator to control the mission, to see the videos and receive telemetry from the platforms. So it's an essential piece of the puzzle. And usually in a system, you have one in the ground station and one in the aerial systems. More advanced systems which are deploying more drones or operating multiple controllers or multiple participants in such event have more than that. And that's the first step in the door. Our uniqueness is for example, the recent solution that we released, which is the Skyhopper multiband, which gives you the most broadband connectivity, meaning that you have the widest spectrum availability to operate that. We see in Ukraine, where our equipment have been used, or in the Middle East or in the United States, that spectrum is not available. There is a lot of jamming, interception, and hacking that is happening on the communication devices. The capability to have the multi-band solution, which is twice the size of the spectrum of any other thing that exists in those small drones. So we are, everybody is doing 6 bands. We are doing 12 bands. Gives more availability of different spectrum, agility to avoid the different jamming and interception, and the capability to serve wide market with single radio. You can sell it to United States, to Europe, to Asia with single radio and single production. You can meet all requirements worldwide, and that's a great advantage. And in fact, it enabled the mission, because if you jam it or intercept that and you cannot avoid it, the mission is gone. So by that, we enabling the mission and having the best results on that end. So that's the advantage of the multiband. Those of you that follow Mobilicom, just earlier this week in the Exponential event in Detroit, where we also participate, we launched the Skyhopper Tactical, which is a handheld or vest-mounted tactical unit. This unit was designed particularly with the requirements and requests of the Department of War based on deployment that we've done. They use our aerial units of Skyhopper and the ground units with our partners, and needed additional units for soldiers that could be on their vest and extend the capabilities and operational scenarios, which for us extend the amount of Skyhopper being sold with each system. which is a great advantage. And we liked it particularly that it was the demand came from the market, and we answered the demand and actually providing them the tool sets that they need to expand drone deployment. And the ICE that you mentioned, I think is which stands for immunity, cybersecurity, and encryption, is 3 tiers of different capabilities to safeguard the mission by the fact that we can maneuver, identify threats, identify jamming, interception, and uniquely to Mobilicom operate algorithms that knows which frequency to jump to and avoid the threats. And we also have unique thing that others do not have, which is hardening the operating system of the radio to avoid hacking or disabling the radio from remote, and different sets of things that we developed with the Middle East and the government of Israel, or from combat operation. And all of those are in use today in the United States, is part of the program of record. So that's part of what we are providing.
Wow, very, very impressive. Now that you did the exponential presentation in Detroit, I believe it was, and now you're in Loitering Munitions, which I know, like I said, some of the U.S. allies are at that. What other countries are you seeing that are U.S. allies at the Loitering Munitions Conference that have expressed an interest in your products?
So the Loitering Munition is a unique one. It's a very close symposium of, let's say, government, Department of War officials from the different corps, together with small sets of companies that are providing those drones, and some of the ecosystem partners that provide some of the solutions. It's very small, but very precise to those that have to exchange views on what we see, what are the needs, what are their requirements going forward, and offering solutions to the government and enable discussions in a very compact and small audience, which is great for the industry. There are different companies that manufacture loitering drones here. We show some of the loitering drones of others in our booth. So Mobilicom is there. There is different. The beautiful thing is that there is vendors, the top tier vendors from the United States, vendors that came from Israel and elsewhere. Mainly you see American solutions and Israeli solutions that are manufactured in the United States for America. And I'm proud to say that in multiple of those booths, there are solutions which are based on Mobilicom. And that's unique because once those customers of ours and partners will scale their production for the Department of War in the United States and also for European market, Mobilicom will scale with them. And we are proud to be embedded across different small platforms in the show, and to see that multiple of those booths have our solution embedded inside.
Wow, that's very great. That's impressive. So recently, you've had some tier one Israeli and U.S. loitering munition providers that you have said have totaled millions in a short period. What is the shift now from design wins to production scale contracts? Tell us about the potential revenue visibility for the rest of this year and beyond.
So what we the first customer of Mobilicom from the top tier players in the world that scaled is actually an American company, one of the, let's say, one of the top two in the United States, serving robotics and drones for government and commercial. We are proud to work with them for more than 4 years. It was a very long journey until they inked with based on our solution, a program of record for their Marines, and we are proud of that, and being partners and enabling that with multiple of our solution, the Skyhopper and the ICE electronic warfare software and so forth. So they are scaling. They have started scaling on the back of the program of record. Those of you that have seen that our regular purchase orders from them in 2025, 24 were $200,000 every quarter or 4 months. And then in the end of 2025, adjusting and preparing for the program of record, it scaled to 1.5. And in Q1, the order was 2.2. So we see scalability from hundreds of thousands to million to 2 million over a short course of time. And that's mainly to deploy 2 battalions of the Marines immediately in June, and then scale with that to additional areas and additional battalions, of course. Loitering munition, kamikaze drones are known for the fact that they are crash and burn on their target eventually, which means you used it, you immediately have to buy new ones, which means that we have recurring revenue immediately with what we're doing. We do see other partners and customers that are selling to European market, which is growing as well, of Mobilicom, like Rafael, and others that are scaling in their production slowly, but with the programs that they are doing over there, we anticipate that in the coming quarters they will start mass production as well. So we'll have multiple partners scaling with that. So that's part of the scalability in production that happens right now. On the back of that, we were requested by the Pentagon to produce and increase our capacity of production in the United States, and we are doing so to meet the demand that they anticipate and we anticipate for the growth of this market.
With that increased demand, are you experiencing direction or pressure or requests from the Department of Defense to accelerate turnaround time?
I think that what we see in the market in general is 2 terminologies that are used in the defense market. One is called TRL, and second one is MRL. TRL is technology readiness, level of readiness, and then the MRL is manufacturing readiness level. And obviously, customers, the government cannot wait for companies to develop or invent something. They would like to use those that already have products that pass all certification and regulation and testing and validation that takes years, and then are fully ready, fully proven in combat and in United States testing and validation processes, which Mobilicom has, and one of few that has that. And one of few in the shortlist that are recommended to be used. And on top of that, they are looking for those that are able to deliver masses, because the United States would like to close the gap to Russia and other adversaries that manufacture millions of drones a year. Just one example, as soon as the ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine has ended last night, in one attack of Russia, they sent 1,500 drones to attack in one attack. So we understand the scalability and the numbers. The United States has to scale to hundreds of thousands, if not millions of drones. We are far away from that in the United States here. And that means that only those that have proven solution with all certification and production readiness, preferred MRL 10, which is the top, will be able to take and support the government. And they are looking on that carefully, who can scale, and they would like to sign product with only those that are able to scale that. And that's guaranteed that what we anticipate is those that have those infrastructure and proven solution will be the ones that will be able to receive the big contracts that America can trust, that can deliver, and to close the gap that we have here.
Okay. The 1,500 drones that you cited from Russia, and so everyone understands, those are one-time use only. Those are kamikaze drones,
Yes.
correct? Never expected to return.
Yes, and that showcase the numbers. I mean, in the past,
Sure.
It was sending few, then tens. Now, single attack is 1,500. And if you, on a weekly base, sending, let's say, 10,000 units, so you understand that the number is at least 500,000 a year. But I'm telling you that last year, Russia have manufactured, with the help of Iran on Russian soil, 3 million drones. 3 million drones. United States is not even close to million. I mean, we are far away behind, and we need to close the gap. That's why we have enormous budget being deployed for that market.
Sure.
And they are looking for companies that have A, proven platforms and subsystems, B, production capacity to support that.
You talked about compliance and validation. Do you want to talk a little bit about your position as a U.S. drone supplier with how the Blue UAS validation and the NDAA compliance has accelerated your, let's call it, penetration into the U.S. military program? And how does that set you apart from your competitors?
So I think that right now what we see, and it's obvious that if you don't have those validation, regulation, and proof points, you will not be able to be chosen. It doesn't matter which program you're going to; it has to be one of those, and you have to have all of those. For example, the Blue UAS certification, the Blue Select, is when they select you to be part of testing and validation that they perform. The Department of War bring their contractors to test and validate your solution. And that's something that we have inked in the beginning of 2025. And we are proud of that. We are one of 5 that have that in the data link, for example, area of communication. There is the NDAA. They have to validate that your software, your hardware, your production, all of the entities and elements inside have no Chinese or Chinese related threats inside, and that takes months to be done. And if you're validating it by the Department of War testers, you have Trusted Cyber. They would like to validate cyber-wise that you are safe, the company, the employees, the software that you're writing, everything is safe from penetration. That's another validation. Being a radio and communication device, we had to go through the DD 1494. Sorry for the numbers. This is being included on the electromagnetic map of the U.S. Department of War, that your equipment will be filed, classified, and mapped to work with and in operation with other systems, and will not interfere other systems. That's another process that takes long time, and that was important. Recently, we've seen a new regulation that passed, which is trusted drone regulation that prevent any drone or any drone platform, but also critical drone subsystem to be manufactured outside of United States. It doesn't matter if it's Europe or anywhere else. Mobilicom, and it is enforced by the FCC. That was released in February, I think. And then Mobilicom was this one of few companies that few weeks after that received a special waiver and declaration from the government on the government letters, making it public, and all the FCC letters that Mobilicom received waiver to be included because they see Mobilicom solution as critical drone component for America. And in addition, they work with us to make sure that we are scaling production in the United States to meet that. So all of those certifications took years to achieve and long-term to work with partners and the government. And we are proud that we have all of that. And that is actually many hurdles that others that would like to enter this market will have to encounter and solve. It will take them time. And in this time, it gives us opportunity to scale with the industry. So it's a walled garden that those that are in are going to enjoy the fruits of that scalability. And when I say scalability in the market, last year, budget for deployment of drone was, if I'm not mistaken, $228 million. The requested budget for 2027 is $54 billion. So we understand the change.
Yeah. You talked about our adversaries or our global adversaries. That obviously one of the biggest things in in a battlefield situation or in a conflict is you now have two things. You have the drone, the attack or the plan, but you also have your adversary who now is trying to, like you said, jam or hack or something the drones. So, what kind of feedback are you getting from your customers like Teledyne and Raphael, any other tier one companies regarding a real world jamming and cyber resilience against against your ICE suite for, say, against adversaries such as a Russian or a Chinese threat?
So it all starts with the government, not just with the ecosystem partners and the OEMs. We work very closely in the design, development, and testing of that with the Ministry of Defense in Israel. It was validated by the different corps in the programs in the United States. It was tested and validated in Ukraine. We have detailed proof points, documents that shows that the capabilities of our solution. We had to go through different testing in lab and then send it to different research testers to validate that without being present, and then testing it in field trials. All of that have to be done again and again and again to validate that what we have is enabling the platforms to actually operate in the battlefield. More than that, I can tell you that it's an ongoing race. Every quarter, we are getting
Sure.
new feedback on things that were done, and we are releasing updates to our radios and updates to our eyes that enabling more and more capabilities. As I mentioned, the Skyhopper multiband was in reaction to what we've seen as demand in the market and coming from United States. Everybody used until then a radio with 6 bands that cover some spectrum, and we, in understanding the market challenges in the battlefield, created double the spectrum availability in order to enable more operational value, get twice the distance, twice the resiliency, and actually enable to carry on the missions. So we are working extensively on that, bringing new frequencies, new capabilities, new features to always counter the measurements that we see from Iranians and Russians in the battlefield. And we are proud to be tested, validated, and enabling our, America and our allies in Israel and Europe the capabilities to perform in the battlefield.
Yeah. You recently provided numbers to analysts projecting revenue scaling towards $10 million in 2026 and 25 million in 2027, with, like you mentioned, expanding gross margins. What potential catalysts, upside catalysts, could drive you beyond those targets? Is that is
So
that
one
partly
thing I would
you
like to
or
correct
also?
you, there are numbers that were provided. There is different. I mean, we didn't provide any numbers. It's estimations of the analysts. There is different analysts with different estimation, which is good. We believe that there is scalability that is happening, and it's happening because, as I mentioned, once you have programs of record already locked, it guarantee many years of delivery. In this case, the first program will guarantee 5 to 10 years of continuous delivery. And we believe also that it will scale even beyond that to more per year. That the scalability and how fast it will scale depends on mainly the capacity and capability of our OEM partners to produce. For us, it's easier to produce high volumes. For them, it's harder to produce more drones. But we believe that this is happening and scaling. And it's based on the fact that multiple tier ones are shifting to mass production scalability. And in fact, the first one started mass production scaling from January this year. So we anticipate that within several quarters, they will speed up to volumes that will bring us to cash flow positive. We also believe that additional players that we are working with that know about our success from the programs of record and for all the validation are now in integration, which will increase our market share. And with that, that will enable us to get to the revenue lines that requires in order to get to cash flow positive.
Uh, as you know, President Trump was in China with a summit with President Xi Jinping of China. One of the big concerns, it seems, that we see with investors right now in the markets is this hot topic about critical metals or critical minerals. How how concerned are you about that with a trade agreement with China that might affect your further in your technology and your scalability with productions based on the availability uh, or inability to get critical metals?
I think that the entire electronic industry will suffer from availability and crisis on the lead time to receive those components and also production capacity. And there is two mega trends that we see. On one end, we have the AI revolution, which is scaling with back office scalability of computers and data centers and so on. And let's say also AI on the edge, which require more chipset production and volume on that end, which means that they locked in advance and bought production lines of memories and other elements years ahead. And that means that less was left for the other electronics market. If they are buying specific, let's say, memory line and guarantee that all the production for the next 5 years will be dedicated for them, obviously this line will not be able to support other customers. So that's one thing that is creating big demand, that is decreasing the amount of availability for other markets. On the other hand, we have the arm race. I mean, it's not a secret that United States budget for defense is scaling dramatically. If in the past we produced here missiles and anti-missiles and protector solutions in the volumes of tens a month, now we are moving to hundreds a month, which means thousands and thousands of years for those sophisticated elements. And it's also relevant for other markets. We've seen that in Europe, which they are moving from 1% GDP invested in defense to 5% GDP in some countries invested in defense. And the next 7 years budget are done and inked, which means that the arm race is in high pace of acceleration, which also create demand on electronics. If you gather those two big trends, you will see that the value, the availability is lower, the lead time is longer, and the prices are going up. So this is the crisis that we see. It's evolving and increasing. And I have to share that it's similar to what we see, or maybe even could be even worse from what we've seen from the COVID time. If you remember, there was crisis of availability.
Sure. Absolutely.
And that said, Mobilicom has the advantage that we have a lot of cash in hand. We are buying in advance volume of subsystem and components to enable our production plans for this year and to scale and have ahead of time things that we need in order to deliver faster to our customers. So we would like to deliver to our customers within weeks what others are promising within months. And by that, when they will hit supply chain issue, we will be able to help them, and by that gain additional market share.
What is your current production rate?
So usually production rate that we've done in the past was 100 of units per batch, production batch, to 500, and now we move to thousands. And that's what I can share. We are able to produce in different sites. We are producing in Israel, Philippines, and now in the United States, which will enable us to have demands going forward of tens of thousands of systems of the hardware. I would like to remind you that on the software and cybersecurity, there is no production requirement, and therefore there is no limitation to the license per unit that we can sell on those items as well. So to be the opportunity of Mobilicom to sell hardware on one side and then software and cyber on the other side give us flexibility on different markets, because some of the software and the cyber solution has nothing to do with Mobilicom hardware. It's embedded on the drone OEM solutions like NVIDIA AI or Qualcomm AI, regardless of Mobilicom's hardware. So we have the flexibility on that end as well.
Do you see Mobilicom moving more towards adapting this drone swarm methodology of attacks? You mentioned and I don't know if the 1,500 drones that you mentioned with Russia were in a swarm.
No,
They're
no, they were not
coordinated.
a swarm. Those
I'm
was
sorry.
single attack. No,
Okay.
the attack that China had is single attack where they're sent together 1,500, as was published on the newspapers from today, in a single attack. So let's maybe help with the facts and how those things. You can send multiple drones, but each one is single controller to single drone, which is sent and controlled going forward. By the way, some of the drones or most of the drones that Russia and Iran are sending have no control, meaning that they have one direction. They don't care if it will hit that building or another building. They don't try to save population. They are not acting according to the war rules. And therefore, from their perspective, hitting civilians and in different buildings, it doesn't matter. As long as they can shoot, it will get to the city and cross somewhere and create the fear effect that they want to achieve. So from their perspective, most of their drones are not controlled remotely and just launched to the direction and hitting whatever target they are hitting. But those that are having control are remotely controlled. So each one is controlling one of the drones. When you're having a fleet, means that you are with single controller, able to control multiple drones. Can be 5, can be 10, can be 50 in the future. And then you do control multiple drones by one controller. And then swarm is when the drone themselves communicate and decide together on the best behavior attacks and activity that they can do. Some can scout, some can monitor from above and identify targets, some can attack those targets, and they correlate between themselves without intervention of the controller behind how to operate. If it's a search and rescue, if it's a mapping and in civilian market, or if it's attacks on defense market. That's the difference between single units, fleet, and swarm.
Yeah, that's exactly to my point. Is that your AI technology really helps with the swarm in the future?
So yeah, so for example, our Scaraper solutions enabling communication with a software upgrade of mesh networking that enable those drones either to work in fleet or in swarm. And that's something that, yes, it's powerful, and we see that will be needed going forward. In addition, our cybersecurity solution that was designed, the OS3 and secured autonomy, has on one hand single-ended solution that is on the drone platform, protecting it by itself from threats, but also a cloud or server entity that master and monitor the behavior and the security and clearance of all your fleet, which will be required when you're operating masses. So we are in advance prepared assets and capabilities to answer the needs of what we see coming, which is operations of fleets and swarms together.
Yeah. Switching topics just for a moment. You know, I'm sure I'm sure you're aware of this, given your position in the drone industry, but there's been an ongoing mystery surrounding these unidentified drone sightings over New Jersey, and then even recently, the 15 were mysteriously lost, but apparently refound. But particularly, a lot of these drone sightings in New Jersey were near military installations and critical infrastructure. It's caused a lot of concern with the public, and there have been a lot of social media postings. Has Mobilicom's, you know, uh, s- cybersecurity and anti-hacking technology been evaluated or been discussed by or with Homeland Security? Uh, or counter drone applications, even maybe to take these down? What unique insights might you have for our listeners on that issue?
So I would like to state first that Mobilicom solutions are on defense. We are defending the drone platform or the drone operation against different cyber threat. We are not attacking with our technology. There is different solutions, one for attack, one for defense, and we are on the defense side. Okay.
Okay.
Therefore, we are not using that in order to attack other drones or take down hostile drones and so forth. Yes, the knowledge exists. We can decide to convert things in the future, but it's not what we are doing today. So I just want to be fair on that. I would like to share that something which is very important for the audience understanding is most of the drone that you see today, especially small size drones, those that are, handheld size or backpack carried, which are, let's say, 50 pound, still big, that are doing the majority of the deployments worldwide, either commercial or homeland security or defense, have zero active dynamic cybersecurity on their platform. I would like to stress that again. Your computer and iPhone most probably have much more active cybersecurity, or definitely more active cybersecurity than those drones have. They don't have the, let's say, minimum bar that I will say that is needed for any computer device, which making all of them unsafe at all. I'm fearful that we have small loitering drones or medium loitering drones that are controlled autonomously and can make decision by themselves, that someone can shoot them, for example, from and then send them to our adversary, and they can easily hack them, control them, and tell them, you know what, go back with your bomb to where you were launched from. That can happen. It's not as difficult as you think. It's easy, and there is no protection level that I believe is sufficient, or let's say the bar of protection is very, very, very low, if good at all. And that's fearful. There are new regulations that were set by the government, different sets of regulations cyber-wise, that will enforce, and we see big momentum on that, that will enforce more and more shift from the old protection methodology. Some of the drones and some of the system have zero protection, zero whatsoever. Your computer with your antivirus and other elements have much more than that. So they don't have zero protection. Now they are moved. Some of them have some one-time testing procedures, but we have to move to online dynamic all the time protection that is running simultaneously. So regulation is there, was published in November. A new regulation was then decided again the beginning of this year. We see momentum toward that, and that's important for America. It's not safe right now. It cannot be that any 13 girl or boy can download a cracker from the web and hack any small drone like that, God forbidden drones with a bomb on the edge. Yeah. So that's scary. I can tell you that's scary. What Mobilicom did for that years ago, we understood that the pain point that is going to damage most the industry, being commercial or defense, is cybersecurity. We understood that every revolution that we had in every critical market, from industrial 4.0 to healthcare to finance, everybody moved to cybersecurity capabilities to protect their assets. Vehicles did it 8 to 10 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, that became mandatory to have active cybersecurity on your vehicle to protect your assets, because it's a sets of computers that you don't really control much. It's many decisions are done in your car automatically. Drones have to do the same revolution. We designed the technology. We understood how the product should look like. We influenced and contributed standards in America. We delivered the product to the market, and we have integrated that within NVIDIA and now with Qualcomm solutions to enable these industries to safeguard themselves against this thing. And that is coming, and we are seeing more and more compelling events that are showing how drones are being hacked and taken control of, and information is delivered, but more importantly, someone can use that to attack or crash or create fearful events. You know, those drones that you have seen in different sports events used for cameras and so on. Imagine that someone is taking control of that and let them fall on the audience. That will
Okay.
create a panic attack that all the people will flee from there. If you have two of those drones crashing, everybody will race out of the stadium, which will obviously create a lot of casualties. You don't need much. You don't have to exploit anything. I don't know if you've seen some of the events of the drone shows. There are two famous drone shows, one in Australia, I think it was Perth, and one in China, that hundreds of drones fell from the sky of the audience. Hundreds, because of
Yeah.
attack.
Recently in Florida as well.
Those things are happening, and we have to change rapidly the pace of deployment of active cybersecurity on our platform, definitely the defense one, because right now we are crippled. So I'm not surprised that things like that happen above, critical infrastructure, above airports, making it very dangerous. I see activities on that, and our adversaries in Russia, Iran, North Korea are very savvy and advanced in cyber. And we have to believe that they have the capability and doing it easily, because, as I said, currently our protection layer is very minimal, if at all.
And would any of your software applications be um, translatable or applicable to some of the smaller drones? Is that a potential market?
Yes, it's definitely a market. Our OS3 operating security, safety, and standard compliance, which is cyber suite, and secured autonomy approach are designed from the smallest drone to the mid-sized one. We can cater for FPV drones, group 1, group 2, group 3. We are designed to have minimal footprint on computer and memory on the edge. Usually we are utilizing less than 1% in average of the CPU power and memory power, which makes us ideal solution to be designed for drones robotics. We have all the sets of capabilities that from your computer system in your offices, or the most advanced things, but designed for the drones or robots, and then being occupying a very small footprint. And that was something that we are proud of. We are leading this industry, and we believe that will be a big unmet need that will scale in the coming year. We worked on that 4 years to create the technology and assets and capabilities and standards. And we are proud to see that governments are making decisions and mandating that. And once it will be enforced, and most probably 2027 is the year that everybody will have to comply, that will create a big demand for solutions like Mobilicom, which is currently, I'm not familiar, let's say that. I'm not familiar personally, and I haven't seen any equivalent solution in the marketplace right now. So we are in the front of that.
So are you saying, like, in 2027 that my neighbor that has a portable drone will have to ground that until he installs some kind of anti-drone software security?
No, I'm not referring to the commercial or consumer
Okay.
level. I'm referring to different levels of definitely defense and homeland security. Later, it will be populated into the commercial market. By the way, commercial market doesn't already have those things. I
Right.
have to tell you that if you are a CEO of an oil and gas or energy company, you already have to have cyber insurance and D&O insurance. And your D&O and cyber insurance says right now that you have done all reasonable measures to solve and prevent vulnerabilities of cybersecurity within your organization. So if you're operating different activities and solutions in your refinery plant or energy plant, and all of them are currently secured to the best of capability that they know today, cyber-wise, but you are using drones that have zero cybersecurity, which is the case right now, you know that. You have to act on that, and you will be accountable if something will happen. So right now, they are not meeting their insurance and D&O regulation because they know the threat exists. They know there is a solution like Mobilicom. They didn't bother to enforce that. So if something will happen and there will be investigation, they will be blamed. Okay. Yeah. So the commercial market is already there. They have to do. The question will be how much they knew, how much protection they've done, if it's enough or could have done better. that's a different thing, and probably will be solved in legal matters if something will happen. But already now they have the obligation. On defense market and homeland security market, the government has published new regulation. The Secretary of the Department of War stand in front of the Pentagon in November last year, few months ago, and stated that they have to move from passive cyber to active dynamic cybersecurity across all fielded equipment in America. And this is part of a bigger plan, which is called Zero Trust program in America that is advocated and running. So regulations are there, activity is done. Now companies have to deploy that. I see new bids coming and saying to the government, to the drone operators, if you will not have the cyber levels ramp up, you will not receive the commercial mass production purchase orders. So it's becoming more and more enforceable, and I believe that within a year we will see more of that is happening, and it will be, let's say, they will draw a line on the sand and says from now on it's mandatory.
So let me
Which
ask
is, by the way,
for
good
your
for Mobilicom. It
yes,
drive everybody to what we worked on for the last 4 years.
yeah, that's where I'm going right now. Is for your shareholders and your potential shareholders. Let's step away from the battlefield for a moment. Where do you see the next big potential markets or sectors for Mobilicom's drones and software? What sectors are you going after in the future here that you see the most opportunity?
So obviously, defense is rising significantly in those years, and now different programs of record and budgets and are being populated and deployed. So in the next year or two, definitely the defense is going to be scaling and accelerating dramatically, and we are part of that revolution, and we are contributing to the OEM solutions. We are entering with one solution and then expanding within from the software and cyber, and by that gaining a bigger share of their drone value. In addition to that, as I mentioned, cybersecurity will be one of the biggest issues going forward. We have took the initiative and developed the solution for that, and we would like to leverage on our position and take advantage of what we invested ahead of everybody else to sell more of that. And we will see more and more cyber and software solutions coming on Mobilicom end, and this is where we see that. And as that happens, more of the commercial market will be more relevant. We will see more commercial deployment being done. Today's market is mainly influenced by defense, but the future will be drones, robotics in every alley and aspects of our life. And I believe that we can serve them there with our cyber and software as well. It's meeting all the regulation it needs, so there is no limitation to the use of Mobilicom cyber and software over there as well. So
And
that's
higher growth and higher gross margins for you if it's a software
definitely.
application.
And yes, and the software and cyber has no production, easy licensing per unit, recurrent revenue on the commercial market. As you understand, it's the typical company that you would like to see that is starting with one end and then accelerating on the base of the return on investment or the ROIC factors that we have, which is unique for Mobilicom.
And can you just briefly touch on here, how is Mobilicom seen and the Department of Defense asking for a more autonomous drone application for the battlefield, so that we're stepping away from these human controllers, correct?
Yes, let's understand the trajectory and how things are done. So 99%, I would like to say, of the drone operation or loitering operation today are monitored and controlled by humans. And most of them is one-to-one. I'm controlling a ground control station or tactical controllers that Mobilicom is also selling, that is communicating with a drone and robot, different communication. It could be satellite, it could be direct RF, it could be cellular, and giving directions to what to do and how to act and respond to different events. But as I said, we would like to deploy and operate few drones and then tens of drones, and in order to be more effective in both commercial and defense, and therefore you cannot pilot multiple drones by one person. So you have to have the drone pilot himself with a very general sets of rules. Go to this area, fly from that direction, hover above that, and scout for those elements. So then one operator can monitor and operate multiple drones. If you want to operate fleets and swarm, autonomy is mandatory piece of the puzzle in order to give capability to the drone to operate itself with some general guidance, and therefore you can monitor swarms and fleets. From the moment, how do you achieve autonomy? You have to put some computing power in addition in the drone. Most likely what you see in the market is NVIDIA Edge AI chipset or Qualcomm RB5, 6, 8 chipsets that are used as the AI edge computing power on the drone or robot. From the moment you have those, you are introducing sensitivity and vulnerability because now something else, a computerized system, is controlling all the operational and making decision. And therefore, there is a threat that the cyber is the only answer for.
Well, we're almost out of time, but I want to give you an opportunity to address your shareholders, your potential investors on where you see the future for Mobilicom and something you want to leave them with about your company going forward.
I think that those that are following Mobilicom carefully can see what we promised over the last quarters, and we said that we will scale with the scalability of our customers, that they will win programs with record, and we deliver the first one, and we believe that others will join soon. We've promised that we will see more volume coming from the fact that the production for swarm vector is happening. And we also promise to increase the amount of tier one players and platform being using Mobilicom, which we are doing, and we will announce soon more of those and more products and more technology being deployed. From the beginning of the year, we already released 2 new products, and we release more in order to meet the needs of the market. So you see a very vibrant, aggressive, fast-forward company that have increasing momentum, increasing deployment, increasing market share and technology as we speak. On the financial side, those that follow see a company with solid cash in hand. With fully diluted, we will have more cash from the exercise of warrants which are in the money. We have recently canceled our ATM vehicle because we have enough cash in hand and increase in production and customer and business. So we see bright future going forward. And therefore, we have any means that we need in order to fulfill our strategy and get to the cash flow positive on that. And we are looking ahead and into the future. What we would like to do is take advantage of our unique position with the market, with the government, with the OEMs, in order to maybe think on beyond organic growth. And that's something that we are looking at. And so we have very, let's say, aggressive activity that is delivering on what we promised, and I'm proud of that, and I'm excited from the next coming quarters.
Well, that's great. You know, I want to say, suggest to everyone who is interested in the company, but to being a potential shareholder, is check out the website. Mobilicom's website is very well done. A lot of sharp minds put that together. A lot of information's on there. And I want to thank you, Oren, for taking time with us today and for providing such a clear and insightful view of Mobilicom's progress and your amazing technological leadership and your path forward. And I'm sure that investors are looking forward to hearing that you're going to sign more deals coming from this conference participation. So thank you again. We appreciate it so much.
Thank you for your time, and thank you for having me.